Well, here we are, less than 24 hours later, again with another episode of Mowing After Dark here on the College Football Mafia Network. I am joined tonight by my friend and colleague, Daniel Gygax. How are you doing tonight, Daniel?
Had fun with the Bay Area traffic today, trying to get back from seeing my son. So fun.
Good deal. At least you survived the traffic. Where do we start? Where do we even begin? Ross Dellinger drops an article today, and then Greg does an emergency episode. I call into Greg's show, and then as soon as Greg gets off the air, Greg Sankey comes out and starts making all these comments. Things are not copacetic in the world of college football today. We have Greg Sankey, he lobbing hand grenades. There's no other way to put it. He is just out here lobbing hand grenades at his colleagues in the Big 12 and the ACC. He's proclaiming that they've given up too much already, and they're going to give. They don't believe they should give up more, and that losses, the only thing that matters are losses. And he is holding last year's vote against the committee. But I want to thank everybody for coming in here. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. Everybody's got a knife in their back. Everybody's got their hand on a handle. We're going to get right to it. Starting right off the bat, Mick Stevens with the $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Mick Stevens. Good to see you, sir. Go Frogs. Who else was wrote? Greg Pflugar's rolled in here. There is no trust anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why the Big Ten doesn't want to give up autonomy. No. Can't trust people. Do you agree with Greg?
Yeah.
Fox Quindaro is here. He says that's what I call service. Mick Stevens says go Frogs. So there you go, Frogs. Who's his corner? Go Mountaineers. Woo.
Yep.
Got to wonder if the Mountaineers, are they one of the teams that is in talking to the ACC counterparts or no?
I have no idea. I don't think anybody does.
Caleb Ramirez says hi. Oh, good to see you, Caleb. Jan Hulk is joining us all the way from Slovenia. Good to see you, Jan. Daniel Gorby's here. He says the ICFB is at war. Looking that way. Battle lines have been drawn anyway. BYU football, Chonsky saying, go on your own.
That's difficult.
That is going to be tough. The question I have is, will these programs save Olympic sports with the cash infusion?
Probably not.
Probably not, but Greg brought it up too, and it's worth mentioning. The Big Ten has $450 million liquid cash on hand. What do they really need the infusion for? But
well, it's not just the Big Ten. It's ACC's. Oh God, ACC is littered with Olympic programs. They probably had about as many Olympic programs in the ACC as what the old Pac-12 did.
Yeah, it's. We'll get to his comment. Sankey is Darth Vader. No, Darth Vader was redeemable. You could redeem him, Ryan Willie. But thank you for the super chat. Let me see. I know I've got something here for you. Oh, here we go. There you go. A little on Wisconsin for you, Evil Badger. Wet Blanket says maybe the SEC gets in the Natty game this year. Well, if you heard Greg Sankey talk, yeah. they were absolutely robbed.
Win games.
Nation. I'm only here to tell Mr. Guy that T-Mart makes the best pepperoni rolls.
It's a running joke between myself and Ears Nation. Out where I grew up at, there's a place there that sells pizza and pepperoni rolls and stuff like that. And I'm more of a fan of the ones from the northern part of West Virginia. So it's just a running joke.
Vox Quindaro says Sankey was born on third, believed to hit a triple, and is yelling into the Big 12 dugout about how he rates.
Yep.
Jonathan Anderson. Oh, I like that profile picture. Notre Dame needs to be removed from contention in college football. Here, here. I think we can all agree on that. That is unanimous. Where was Sankey's comments? Well, his comments were in Destin, Florida, at the spring meetings for the SEC, where I'm just going to get into it. We'll get into some of these comments. I didn't get them all, but here we go. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey spoke a lot about the college football playoff, where the format might be heading in 2026 and beyond at today's spring meeting. Among the notable comments, well, in our own room, I've had athletic directors tell me directly that we've given too much away.
Of course.
And I assume he said this with a straight face. And this is, again, because South Carolina got left out, Alabama got left out of the college football playoff.
Of course.
He said the SEC has grown more interested in a 16-team field. The league has not settled on a particular preferred model, and that there is concern the SEC's strength of schedule was simply not being properly evaluated and considered by the committee. Not being properly evaluated and considered.
Mercer and Citadel on the schedule late in the year.
Yeah, this is. I don't know how he's saying this stuff with a straight face. I mean, look, the SEC is tough. Nobody's denying the SEC is tough, but you schedule like Mercer, Citadel, these schools like right before your main rivalry game. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but okay, Greg.
But they've done it for 20 years.
Yeah, from his SEC media session, I don't need lectures from others about the good of the game or coordinating press releases about the good of the game. He references the Big 12 and ACC releases in wake of the seeding vote last week. Yes, he took a direct shot at both the Big 12 and the ACC. He doesn't need lectures from them.
He's not being quiet.
He's not being
quiet.
Tony Petitti, you got to give him that. Tony Petitti just kept his mouth shut.
Of course.
And this is important. Russ Dillinger broke it down for us. Certain format, the 4-4-2-2-1-1 could actually cost the SEC qualifying teams. In a top 16 or a 5 AQ plus 11 at-large format, the SEC would get 5 to 6 teams in. Here's a breakdown of the number of teams by conference finishing in the top 16 in the last 11 CFPs. Big 10 leads with 5.3, SEC at 5, Big 12 at 2, ACC at 2. 14 team, Big 10.
Yeah.
Just shy, 4.6. Greg Sankey on NCAA governance proposal. SEC has asked for more autonomy for the 4 conferences. I don't have the authority to just depart the NCAA. I've shared the decision-making working group that I have people in my room asking, why are we still in the NCAA?
Because you have to play basketball somewhere. But if it's up to him, he won't.
Sankey says the SEC would like to see 68% weighted voting for the power leagues, not the current 65%. This is important, as 68% would mean that legislation could pass if 3 of the 4 power leagues vote in support at 65%. All 4 Power 4 leagues would need to vote the same. Listen, this is important, people. This is the reason I grabbed this. 3 out of 4 power leagues vote in support. Do you think that they don't have one of those, either the Big 12 or the ACC, on board at this point?
Well, it depends on what exactly is being proposed behind closed doors. We don't know yet. I mean, we've heard rumors, but this might be a way to say, hey, this is what we want and this is how we're going to get it.
Maybe, but I think it's really kind of telling that they're looking at just 3 out of 4. That tells me that they probably know who the third one is, and they may already have that fourth one marked for deletion like the Pac-12. They already may have it carved up and just figure, okay, we're just going to shuffle this here, and this. The ACC has 4 teams left, and it's Wake Forest and Boston College, and I don't know who, but I mean,
I don't think anybody does. Yeah,
yeah. This is to coin a term, serious shit. Super serious shit. Because I mean, you've got the Big 12 and the ACC. There's a group of Big 12 and ACC presidents, by the way, and athletic directors who are talking to each other without their commissioners involved. What are they talking about?
The former president at WVU, Jim Clement, is the president at Clemson. The athletic director at Virginia Tech used to be the assistant athletic director at WVU. There's so much. This guy used to work here. This guy used to work there. I mean, it happens everywhere, just due to the fact that there's only so many big schools. I mean, of course, they're going to pick up the phone and say, hey, what's going on? What have you heard?
Yeah, I just don't know. Well, they're dealing with Smash Capital, which is Smash Capital is one of the private equity firms that presented one of the Super League ideas. So they're dealing with that.
I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I think it might have been the CSFL, College Sports Football League. I think.
Okay.
I think it was the CSFL. I think. Don't quote me on that. But they're dealing with that. They're dealing with that private equity firm. What else are they talking about other than potentially speculation? All speculation. You can call it a grift, whatever you want to call it. Speculation. You would have to imagine the teams with the most value in the Big 12 and the teams with the most value in the ACC are probably talking about getting together and forming their own conference.
There was a rumor 2022, and let me tell you how big that rumor was, that one of the guys that wrote for CBS Sports was on the WVU Sports Show saying, hey, there is a merger in the works. 24 hours later, this was between Pac-12, Big 12, that they were going to work on some type of merger. This was after USC and UCLA left.
Well, it looks like we lost Daniel there. He was having some connection issues earlier, but yeah, and Vox Quindaro in the chat, that's a bingo. Speculation on my part. I don't know if that's the case. Are you back with us, Daniel?
Yeah. I've got AT&T. You got to remember that. So there was rumors with the Big 12, Pac-12 3 years ago. Could the same thing come up with ACC Big 12? I don't know. I don't know who's talking to who. I mean, if they are talking, it's not being. Let's just say not a lot of people are saying who is and isn't talking.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, $9 billion is a lot of money, Cranky Tiger.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to leave a $9 billion super chat, feel free. But I mean, seriously, all this stuff happened today. Dellinger's article comes out. Greg Sankey comes out. Does not pull punches. He is literally throwing hand grenades at Jim Phillips and Brett Yormark and saying, "You guys coordinated your press release last week. It was all good, all in good fun, but it doesn't matter to us. We're going to continue to do what we're going to continue to do." In fact, he believes that the SEC has given up too much. In our room, I've had athletic directors tell me directly that we've given too much away.
No, here's the question. You never hear Petiti say a word. Is he happy with the status quo? I think he is, just due to the fact that guess who's winning national championships lately? Yeah, the Big Ten.
Yeah, but I mean, what athletic director thinks they've given too much away? Honestly, I mean, they haven't. I could understand if they had moved to 9 conference games. They have not moved to 9 conference games yet. That has not happened yet. They have not signed the scheduling agreement with the Big Ten yet. So they do. Now, I'm not saying the SEC schedule, there's SEC teams that do tough scheduling. Ohio State's scheduled to play Texas this year. They've got Alabama and Georgia on the future schedule. There are schools that do tough scheduling, but to act like they've given too much away, it almost seems like it's wishful thinking to go back to the 4-team playoff when they could get 2 teams in.
Well, I mean, what exactly have they given away? They keep a large share of the CFP revenue. Maybe they're complaining because they think that they're giving too much to the Big Ten. Because the Big Ten is also making about the same amount of revenue as the SEC does. Maybe that's why they're unhappy.
You've got me. I mean,
I don't know.
I can understand it from a negotiating perspective. Maybe he's just saying this to try and have a stronger negotiating position, but you're still scheduling Citadel and Mercer and FIU and UAB next to the last week of the season. I don't get it. I don't understand. But that who can understand the mind of Greg Sankey?
No one.
But you're right. Tony Petiti has not said a damn word.
Well, then again, you got to think of it this way. He might be fishing somewhere this weekend, and all of a sudden his phone blows up saying, "What the heck just happened?"
I think he has not said anything for a reason. I think one of the things that rubbed people the wrong way about Kevin Warren when Kevin Warren was the commissioner of the Big Ten, he would talk and he would say things, and people would prefer he didn't say those things. And I think Tony Petiti maybe took that to heart, and he's not saying a damn thing. He's just going about his business. Obviously, he still has to have a working relationship with Greg Sankey, as well as Jim Phillips and Brett Yormark, but apparently Sankey's just taking the attitude of double middle fingers, going every which way, and I don't care what anybody thinks about it. Who knows? Steve Moser said, instead of me giving you $9 billion, I think it would be much more fair for 1 billion people to all give you $9. Okay.
That'll work. That'll work for us here.
I'll give you a Jayhawk squawk for that. And let me see. trying to find a good one for you. Here we go. SNL. Dubious.
From what I've heard, you're using your paper not for writing, but for rolling doobies.
He lives in a van down by the river.
Down by the river. Of course, Matt Foley, performed by Chris Farley, written by Bob Odenkirk. Thank you for the super chat, Steve. Yep. We were waiting for the rest of the billion to get in line and donate that $9.
But it's just weird that it came out today. No, I mean, yes, everybody's down there in Florida. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, here's the thing, Shonsky. He has to confirm with his puppet Petiti. No, he doesn't. He just went out there and said it. He didn't check with anybody. Or Petiti just told him go nuts.
Shonsky, go in there and look at the financials that the Big Ten has. Yeah, go look at the financials the Big Ten has compared to the SEC. Big Ten, even with the next deal that came out, they're making way more money than the SEC. The Big Ten can just say, we don't want to deal with the SEC.
Wonder how loud your marks what the fuck was. It was probably pretty loud. Like this isn't over, guys. This is just, there's going to be a statement tomorrow, I'm sure, from Yormark and Jim Phillips. I don't think Tony Petiti is going to say anything.
He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. Trust the plan, Mo, and it's all been scripted. It's starting to feel that way.
Think so. No.
It's starting to get this twist in the third act. I don't know.
But Sankey, there's not a camera in the world that Sankey is afraid to talk to. I mean, good, bad, and indifferent. And whenever he starts talking things, everybody's like, really? That's not good.
The problem is, what even are the top brands in the Big 12? Lots of parity. In the ACC, it's easier to separate. Colorado is going to be right up there. Kansas is going to be right up there. Big markets like TCU, Houston, those are going to be up there. But you don't need
Houston for the SEC because they're already in Houston with Texas and A&M.
Petiti never says anything unless Sankey is holding his hand. I don't know. He's head of the richest conference in college athletics, so he must be doing something. He said the SEC has grown more interested in a 16-team field. The league has not settled on a particular preferred model, and that there is concern the SEC's strength of schedule was simply not being properly evaluated and considered by the committee. The SEC strength of schedule. This is
Citadel,
a team.
Sanford.
Well, no, this is, let's be honest. They believe Alabama and South Carolina should have had a shot into the playoffs. I don't remember how South Carolina did in the playoffs, but I remember how Alabama did. They lost to a team without a quarterback.
Yep.
They listen, I can't complain. We lost to the same team as Ohio State fans, but you lost to Michigan. So, I mean, you lost to one of the worst teams in the Big Ten last year. So I don't know where you're worried that you're not being properly evaluated if Alabama couldn't even beat Michigan. I don't need lectures from others about the good of the game or coordinating press releases about the good of the game. And a clear shot to Jim Phillips and Britt Yormark.
Of course.
And now you got to wonder, South Carolina lost to Illinois. Thank you, Coy. Thank you for reminding me. We just talked about it last night, and I completely forgot about it. Was Tennessee the third best team last year in the SEC? They looked like clowns in the postseason. Yeah, it didn't go well for them.
Did you see the SEC short that they did after that Tennessee Ohio State game? It was hilariously funny. It was hilarious.
Yeah. I think the one with the Zoltar machine.
Yes.
Zoltar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are absolutely brilliantly done too.
I just want them to go on a 9-game schedule first. Yeah, but I mean, you've got Sankey out here saying that they, there's concern the strength of schedule for the SEC is not properly evaluated. Make that make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. I agree that the SEC has the toughest schedule top to bottom over most universities. Sometimes that just depends on when you scheduled an opponent.
How good is Mississippi State?
But sometimes it's how good is your out-of-conference opponent. You might have scheduled them when they were a good opponent. Yep. I mean, Ohio State scheduled Virginia Tech and Miami when they were both really, really good. And by the time they played them, they weren't so good. Although
West Virginia's got Ohio State. West Virginia's can't remember next year or year after. They do home and home with Alabama, and then they have to play Tennessee and Charlotte.
Non-SEC Big Ten schools, Big 12, ACC, mid-major conferences would likely win the legal battle over March Madness, which is the biggest nugget in all of this. Yeah, but what are we going to do about football? Are we just going to, the SEC and the Big Ten just go do their own thing in football? Does the Big 12 poach enough from the ACC to become number 3 in that triumvirate? Do the ACC and Big 12, do certain renegades in those conferences evacuate and form a new conference?
The Big 12, even if they pick up what's remaining, will still only be number 3. They'll be a better number 3, but they'll only be number 3.
The SEC thinks they should get 9-3 and 8-4 teams over 10-2 teams from other conferences. Again,
exactly.
This is nonsense. I'm sorry, it's nonsense. The SEC got the exact amount of teams they needed to get in this year. The Big Ten got the 4 teams in. The Big Ten deserved the 4 teams in this year.
There was complaints about Indiana being in. Indiana had a great season. They had a great season. They deserve to be in. And they're saying, well, Alabama should be in because, well, Alabama. No, Indiana had a great season.
Yeah, and Indiana actually beat Michigan. So,
yes. They beat Michigan and Washington, who were in last year's national championship game.
My point is everyone should break away proactively from the Power 2. I think the problem with that is won't work. They've already consolidated enough power and value. If anything, they would just strip the ACC and Big 12 of teams. They would take everybody they wanted.
Because you got to think.
Go ahead.
You got to think of it this way: with the SEC, let's say the ACC and Big 12 says we're no longer going to schedule anybody in the Big 10 or anybody in the SEC. That's going to be a mess. Just due to the fact that you get that bigger audience. Like last year, WVU was on Big Noon with Penn State. That had 4 million people in it, 4 million people watching. I mean, come on. You're going to have to schedule those games.
Yeah, here's the problem. You're just going to end up with a 24-team Big Ten and a 24-team SEC. They will take whatever is left of value from the ACC and Big 12 They will strip Kansas. They will take Florida State. They will take Clemson. They would take those teams, and then they would just be at 48, and they would just play each other.
Yep.
Day one, Rob. Everyone needs to stand up against the Big Ten and SEC. This is getting out of control. This has already happened. This has already been allowed to get out of control.
It's not the Big Ten. The Big Ten hasn't done anything too egregious. This is one guy going up there and wanting to do a soundbite.
To be fair, the Big Ten could stand up and say something, but he's not going to. Again, I think he learned from Kevin Warren that it's best to just keep your mouth shut. And I think that's what they've done. But I don't know what you could. Day one, Rob, I don't know what you do. How do you stand up to him? How at this point? I mean, it's not. I don't disagree with the sentiment. Standing up against tyranny and power, but how do you do it at this point? They'd need lawmakers to come on. That's exactly what they would need. They would need lawmakers to come on board. They would need lawmakers, maybe the president of the United States. Somebody would have to come on board and force it. I don't know if anybody's willing to do that.
There's a presidential commission.
Yeah. We'll let Nick Saban solve the problem. The Big is the one who advocated for the 4-4-2-2-1-1. Yeah, and there's a reason they do that, because of their scheduling. Control is rapidly disappearing in the rear view. Yeah, I think control jumped out the passenger door. The Big Ten is the one really pushed for the 4 auto bids. The auto bids, who knows? I mean, they're probably going to get 4 anyway. I can understand why they want to get them written in there as guarantees so that they can make even more money with a scheduling agreement between the SEC and the Big Ten. And they can also schedule more big out-of-conference matchups with sponsors and whatnot. But, something that's not been brought up a lot that we can talk about too is bowl games. We've had a lot of bowl games that, the Pac has went away. There now needs to be somebody to fill in for the Pac in those bowl games. So I could see the Big Ten and the SEC potentially working to take over some of those bowl game slots too.
Those bowl games are up for renegotiation after this season. And I can't remember. I was talking to Justin Walker, was talking to Kuz about it. I can't remember how many it was, but there was a number of bowl games that are owned by ESPN events. So I want to say it was like 18 or 20. So those are guaranteed to stay where they are. I can't remember the list off the top of my head. I had it up about a week ago.
But those were negotiated with the Pac-12. If there's no more Pac-12 left to fulfill that commitment, I mean,
the Pac-12 gets the money. Like Colorado BYU played in the Alamo Bowl, and the reason why is because the contract still stayed at Pac-12, Big 12, and they had to fulfill that. Thank you, Rock, for correcting me on the number of bowl games.
Sure, but that's only for right now. But I mean, they're renegotiated. Yes. There is no longer a Pac-12. They're going to have to negotiate that between Conference A and Conference B. I'm going to assume that some of these bowl games, they do not want a Pac-12 representative in there. They want an SEC, a Big 12, an ACC, a Big 10, that sort of thing. So that's also something that's got to be negotiated. Meanwhile, Ryan Willie has gifted 5 memberships to the College Football Mafia family. There's that Badger sound. Let's give them a little Wisconsin sound. I sped it up a little to make it a little up tempo, Ryan. I like it a little more up tempo. Jonathan Anderson, Dave's here, Rectangle, Richard Ledford, and KS Bearfan. You have received a gifted membership from our good friend, the Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. Make sure you thank him in the chat, as I see Jonathan Anderson has already done. If you're watching us on demand, thank him in the comments section. If you just happen to see Ryan Willie out and about on the town, just say hi and say thank you to him there. Thank you so much, Ryan Willie. Your support is greatly appreciated, sir. I'm sure Wisconsin will be playing in one of those bowl games. Will the ACC say the contract they signed to give the P2 control is not binding and ironclad? This is it's almost how do you put it back in the bottle? It's spilled. It's out. It's out of the bottle. How do we, like, literally the only way I can think to solve it is politicians getting involved.
Which will make it worse.
Which will make it worse, yes. Which will make it even worse somehow. But I mean, Greg Sankey is literally just walking out on stage and dropping trowel and saying, "This is my ass," and get a big old look at my ass, and here's my ass. In our own room, I've had athletic directors tell me directly, we've given too much away. What have you given away? Honestly, anybody in chat, give me one thing that they gave away. Just one thing. One thing that
too
the
much
SEC
power to the Big Ten.
Yeah, other than, national championships to the Big Ten. Maybe you has the answer. Jesus, you look like you just came from Top Gun.
Hey.
What's happening to you?
Hey, did you guys hear this news? This new news here. Disturbed me from a nice poolside vacation because I'm hearing that the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to break away. Did you hear this? Did you go over this? Is the namesake of this live show, the SEC and the Big Ten's hostage takeover leaves no room for Big 12 and ACC rivals? Did you see this?
I think CFB Plus just nailed it. They let 11-2 ASU and SMU make the college football playoff. That's what the SEC gave up.
Exactly. The SMU lost the conference game to Clemson. That's exactly it.
What do you think? You're a Big 12 guy. Was Utah in on that call? Do you have something going with BYU that you want to tell us about that you're planning a little thing?
Okay. This article that came out today is unreal. The SEC talking with Goldman Sachs on getting possibly equity investors elsewhere to fund the conference. At least having conversations is huge news. Goldman Sachs is the biggest investment bank worldwide. This is what they do, mergers and acquisitions. They're trying to get the biggest funding arm they can. And the fact that they're even going about that and they have worked with Goldman Sachs so far tells you a lot. So, boom. Smash capital, the ACC and the Big 12. Let's talk about this. I hate the idea of a merger between the ACC and the Big 12. I hate this idea. Exactly. Too much milk sucking in a freaking Big 12 ACC merger. There's way too much. You guys, there needs to be consolidation amongst the Big 12 and the ACC. You know, Mr. Gygax, Moan, you know it as well. What does that look like? I do not know, but there are a couple ideas forming. And number one is obviously just the Big 12 poaching of the ACC and getting the 4 best brands available. But this idea that's emerging right now, that's just, there's more stuff pointing to this, just like these Big 12 schools meeting with ACC schools without the commissioners there. there really seems to be some momentum with developing relationships amongst Big 12 and ACC without like the formal conferences in play. Meaning that, hey, is there something else here where we want to form a best of the rest? Call it that, and call it the best of the Big 12 and the ACC, the best brands, breakaway. You're talking about 16 teams probably max in that situation, not even 20. 16 teams that have the most viewership power, have the biggest markets, that bring the best value overall, bring the best rivalries, just the biggest juice. You're juicing to get whatever it takes to survive. And that is the idea. That's what's forming right now, in my view. We're seeing that. And so that is really what's going on underneath the surface. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's speculation.
Well,
at this point. It's speculation, just pure speculation.
Let's wait and see what the Big Ten and SEC do first, because they're going to get first pick of everything. Big Ten could say, "Nah, we're good for right now," and not do anything for years. The SEC might say, "Well, we only want blank." Whoever that blank is, we don't know yet. And then what? Let's say only Florida State, Clemson, and go to the SEC. Everything stays status quo in the ACC. Big Ten says, now we're good, does nothing. Let's say the Wolfpack backpack is in play in North Carolina. So then what? Then you've got a 14 football team conference, ACC, a 16 team conference, Big 12. Is that going to be attractive enough to sit there and say, hey, ESPN, Fox, whoever, Apple or Amazon spending money left, right, and cross?
We're freezing out here, Mr. Gygax.
Daniel is freezing out because he has AT&T internet.
Oh no, that is quite the. I love that.
He's got the picture
right
there. Kansas, BYU, Utah, Arizona State, Texas Tech, TCU, Colorado, Oklahoma State, plus the ACC coming in. Some for private equity. Okay, is there enough value there for another network to jump in?
I think so.
Is there enough value there for a Warner Brothers Discovery?
Oh, absolutely. Because you're just getting the best juice out of both. I mean, the way that the Big 12's been configured and stuff, it is a kind of like, grab teams from left and right. There's not a lot of historical matchups, though. Especially you're looking at teams like a UCF, a Cincinnati. They just don't have a lot of juice with existing Big 12 teams. Even the ACC Big 12 rivalries have a little bit more historical playing. Pitt, West Virginia, for example. So you can find a lot better matchups, and you're trying to create the best blend in different markets to make the most attractive product. And this is going to be the third best conference in the land. So there are going to be plenty of suitors out there. Warner Brothers will be a suitor for sure. And then probably ESPN, Fox will want a chunk of it too. You might be able to get Netflix or other streaming partners. I think you need to do it though. At this point in time, it seems like the best decision just to consolidate to make a third super conference. And that's really what this is pointing to.
Did you watch the NASCAR race from Charlotte yesterday?
No, I did not.
I know you. I did. To let you know, Amazon spends money left, right, and sideways on their video production. It is probably some of the best that you have in the business. And they sunk a ton of money into just getting 5 races for NASCAR. How much money do they spend for the NFL? I mean, they write checks left, right, and sideways. Netflix, I don't know about Netflix, but an Apple or a Amazon, they can use those as loss leaders. They don't need to make a profit off of off of their video service. They could go ahead and cut checks left, right, and sideways, and Tim Cook and Jeff Bezos can sit there and say, hey, look at how much cash we made off of selling phones and TVs today.
I think probably still your best bet is Warner Brothers Discovery. But
yeah,
first you got to extricate yourself from your current conference. You'd have Big 12 teams have to do that. ACC teams would have to do that. Then form a new conference.
That's not easy.
That's not easy. And do all that because I am sure that you're going to have people suing you. Everybody is going to be suing everybody.
Suits are just part of the game, though. I mean, like, suits can't be like a determining factor. You're going to get sued no matter what. Like, who cares? Like, suits are almost irrelevant because you're going to get sued left or right. Is that really going to be a deciding factor in this?
I don't know that it'll be a deciding factor, but it has to be a factor.
Well, I mean, like, if you don't go, you get sued. If you go, you get sued. So really, it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah, and who would lead the new conference?
Florida State, 100%.
Florida State's not in.
You bet. If you want this to work, Florida State has to be in. So does Clemson. If they jump to the Power 2, this idea will not work.
Yeah, my Daniel's freezing up again. I think Clemson and Florida State would be in the Power 2 at that point. I think the money would be there. I think Miami will have jumped to the Big Ten at that point as well.
Okay, I'm going to bring something up, and who originally brought this up is Coos Walker from Coos Corner. Okay, this is a video he made multiple years ago when the Arizona State hadn't jumped over to the Big 12 yet from the Pac. Okay, there was a in passing comment that Coos picked up on that was Florida State at that time had called Arizona State's athletic director, I believe his name was Michael Crow, the former one, and was just inquiring about forming another conference, just bringing that idea, just kind of socializing that, getting the feel for it. Nothing was in traction yet, but Florida State was the initiator on that idea. And that stuck with me since I heard it a couple of years back that Florida State would have to be absolutely key. In starting a third conference, they would be the biggest football brand in it. Notre Dame would not join it. Notre Dame would still probably be an independent, but Florida State would be that third player and stuff. So I think that you absolutely need the Seminoles and the Tigers in it, or else you just don't have enough value to pull away. And then the Big 12 would just be looking at poaching the ACC again.
I think that you should cut all ties to Notre Dame anyway. Not even have them part. If the ACC goes away, Notre Dame is screwed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but who's going to stand up to Notre Dame? The ACC hasn't done it yet. The Big Ten hasn't done it yet. The SEC hasn't done it yet. But we'll see. It sounds like the Big Ten and the SEC, that at least from the SEC's point of view, Greg Sankey is out here doing the old Lyndon Baines Johnson, waving his willy around, telling people about it.
Yeah, how about that dig about best for college football comments? You're gonna dig that? What a jerk from Sankey and stuff. Like, I get it, he can be a jerk and everything. He's the most powerful guy in college football. Greg Sankey is, but dude, this guy's going down eventually and stuff. Like, he's going to be a humbled man sooner or later. I can't wait to see that day. I think a lot of freaking Big 12, ACC, and Big 10 fans would love to see that stuff, but he just speaks without any care for anybody else. Get it? He's got to take care of his conference, but seriously, this guy, he's going to get taught a lesson one of these days and stuff. And something's going to go burn up on him, and he is going to get roasted, baby.
I don't need lectures from others about the good of the game or coordinating press releases about the good of the game. That is a direct reference to the Big 12, Brett Yormark and Jim Phillips press releases last week following the seeding vote. he took a shot. It was not a veiled shot. I mean, at least he went out there. It was not passive aggressive. He went out there and was just threw it right down on the table and said, don't lecture me.
Moan, why? Why would he say that? Like, you just got what you wanted. You're going to really troll? This is a troll. It's a public troll.
Well, all we can do is speculate. We don't know. We can't discern the motives of Greg Sankey or Tony Petitti or Jim Phillips. But maybe he wants to drive a wedge in between the Big 12 and the ACC.
It would be the best. It would be in his best interest, just due to the fact that if you've got the ACC and Big 12 together voting on something, and let's say the Big 10 is like, yeah, fine, whatever, we'll see it your way. The SEC might be in a corner saying, okay, now what do we do? I mean, yeah, they've got a lot of money, but the Big 10 can sit there and say, hold off. We can do this differently.
The SEC is in trouble, guys. Like, I don't know, like, this place right here of arrogance from Sankey. If the House Settlement Clearinghouse does not go through, at least doesn't stand up in court, which a lot of people don't think it will, the SEC is in big trouble as far as having elite football down the line. At least all of the programs. Your Alabamas are in trouble. Your Georgias are in trouble. Texas will be fine. A&M will be fine because of booster funding. Like, they've got big time problems with the clearinghouse and with NIL and collectives not funding enough to get the best players like the Big Ten has. That is why they're pushing clearinghouse so much. That's why they need Deloitte and NIL go so bad. So I don't know why you'd be playing this game and being so arrogant right now when that's in the background and that's not even a sure thing. And if that doesn't happen, then your conference is going to take it back steep to the Big Ten for the permanent future until NIL changes.
Well, if House doesn't get approved.
Yeah.
Let's say it doesn't. I mean, we might hear something this week. We might not hear something this week. We don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm 20 some miles from Oakland, but I don't know what goes on in the courthouse. I mean, let's just say that they say, okay, it's going to court. It's going to be just a big, gigantic mess. Then what?
What are your thoughts, Moan? What are your thoughts on the clearinghouse in the SEC situation?
Look, he's putting it out there. Greg Sankey is putting it out there, and he's putting it out there for a reason. Maybe Yormark and Phillips' little statements got to him last week. Maybe it got under his skin for some reason. I don't understand. I don't understand this mentality. One, he's coming out. He's already claimed he's a victim. In our own room, I've had athletic directors tell me directly that we've given too much away. We've given nothing away.
No.
So he's already he's bouncing from I'm a victim to our strength of schedule was simply not properly evaluated and considered by the committee. So again, victim, I'm a victim. And then he goes to, okay, I'm not a victim. Now I'm an aggressor. Don't lecture me. And then SEC has asked for more autonomy for the four conferences. I don't have the authority to just depart the NCAA. I've shared with the decision-making working group that I have people in my room asking, why are we still in the NCAA? So right here, he's a leader. He's a victim. He's angry. He's a leader. It's almost like the 5 stages of grief. Sankey says, and this is, well, I got you here. This is perfect for you. Sankey says that the SEC would like to see 68% weighted voting for the power leagues, not the current 65%. This is important, as 68% would mean that legislation could pass if three of the 4 power leagues vote in support. At 65%, all 4 Power 4 leagues would need to vote the same. That sounds like somebody who thinks that there's not going to be a 4th power league.
No. That certainly is an interesting comment right there. And like 3%, it seems so small, but it's huge, as he specified. The reason why here is because you get all the power of decision making with that extra 3%. But I think this, again, is all pointing to to me, the real big story here is actually Big 12 and the ACC. Like the Big 12 and the ACC, the schools meeting on the side, talking to Smash Capital about a possible private equity deal, like within like essentially like a merger between the two conferences, with Smash Capital distributing like the media rights. That's where I'm taking it. That's where my mind goes when I hear that. But that's really a huge story. What's going to happen with the ACC still? If they sign a Smash Capital deal with the Big 12, does that provide more stability for ACC? There are so many moving parts. It's absolutely fascinating. And like, it feels like it's just hanging on a knife's edge. And if any of these ideas are going to break, it's going to really cause some serious havoc in college football.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff coming out right now. A lot of stuff. And some of this stuff is being leaked with a purpose to drive people to act a certain way, say certain things. The latest example was a recent clandestine call. If it was clandestine, a reporter wouldn't have it. Okay?
Secret.
It's obviously not that clandestine if a reporter has it. So somebody has leaked it to this reporter, Ross Dellinger, that there was this clandestine call that happened that was secret. With leaders of a private equity-based super league. We believe that's a CSFL. Call earlier this month was had without the involvement of ACC and Big 12 commissioners, and was the second such. So this is the second time it's happened. Such Big 12 ACC joint meeting since December, with those from Smash Capital, a venture capital firm proposing a super league model that features $9 billion promise of cash infused to college sports. So this is the second clandestine meeting that this reporter knows about. It's not clandestine if you report about it. Greg Sankey is saying these things because he wants people to hear them. Somebody is telling the reporter about this meeting because he wants the world to know about it. So
when I read this, Moan, like the thing that stands out the most is the latest example was a recent clandestine call. That keyword highlighted here, several. That does not mean all. That does not mean most. That means several. That means 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10, maybe 16. ACC and Big 12 school presidents and high-ranking athletic administrators held with leaders of a private equity-backed super league. To me, this is not a merger of the two. Like, after like reading through this, after siphoning through this, this seems like the best of the rest type of pull away with backing of private capital. That's what this smells like to me.
But who is Smash Capital the one that leaked it? Was it AD somewhere? An AD, a president from ACC Big 12 or whoever? Somebody tipped off somebody to say, hey, this is what was being talked about. Nothing gets leaked by accident. Ever.
Regardless.
So maybe it was, maybe Smash Capital is trying to get this deal done and say, hey, this is what we were talking about.
I think we have to look at who benefits the most from it. Who benefits from this the most? I mean, does the Big 12 benefit the most? Are they planting seeds that, hey, ACC, some of you guys are already collaborating with us to throw you under the bus, and they're going to come over here. So now you've got to worry about watching your back in the ACC. I mean, now that this is out here, Greg Sankey has just kind of thrown his out on the table. We know the ACC and Big 12 are having quote unquote clandestine meetings. Certain Big 12 and ACC brands. I think we could probably figure out, if we really wanted to try, who those brands are.
Right.
So now, did maybe the SEC and Big 10 throw this out here?
Maybe I guess what's the win?
Caught the wind of. Maybe they caught wind of it, threw it out there, just to put more questions and more concerns and just create more instability in the Big 12 and the ACC.
Or it's a top brand in the Big 12 that may be looking at for the interest of their school forming some type of new super league with the ACC. You can see them like, hey, if they think, let's just talk about a school, KU would be a prime candidate. Everyone knows that KU is a big WVU brand. Yeah, so we could use WVU.
They played all those ACC schools for 100 years.
Yeah, so you've got the history there. You've got the intrigue. It's a new market. But like, hey, if you have access and you know that you have an entryway in or you want to get in or be a part of that, maybe you're the one leaking it to destabilize both the ACC and the Big 12. And so for your own stability in the future.
And Gordon Gee was a part of Project Rudy.
Rock and rant. ACC's Jim Phillips can't throw his junk out there. He's a eunuch. Joke aside, you're right. Jim Phillips is the most ineffective commissioner, I think, in the Power Four. Utah is the leaker tired of being milked. I don't think Phillips could pull something like that off. I don't. I honestly don't. I think he's that inept that he could not pull off so subterfuge and intrigue on that scale.
Let me ask you guys a question, okay? So say that, like Rock said, maybe it's Utah that leaked this information. If Utah did indeed go into a 16-team ACC Big 12 version, do you think that BYU comes along? You bring the Holy War into that?
You would have to.
Why would you have to?
I mean,
is that the best bet? Maybe you bring the game, right? It probably makes sense to bring them both.
Well, hey, you know what? It also could be Florida State, Clemson, Miami, any of the teams that have been proposed for inclusion in the Power 2. They could have leaked this.
Yeah.
They could be putting this out there saying, hey, look, we're going to go form our own thing. If you don't take us soon, you got to do something. And, that could be from them. But, I mean, this doesn't get out there. This is put out there for a reason. They wanted a reaction from it.
No leaks happen in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Ever.
God does not play dice with the universe. This is out there for a reason.
Nope.
Greg Sankey came on stage and said, I don't need lectures from others about the good of the game or coordinating press releases about the good of the game. He did that for a reason. Did it for a reason.
I know he did. Man, that's just such a jerk thing to say. I mean, you just won. It's just like you smashed your mark in the face.
No, he didn't win. Now remember, our room, I've had athletic directors tell me directly that we've given too much away. The SEC has given too much away, people.
The SEC has given too much away.
What they've given away, we can't figure it out, but they've given too much of it away. And this reeks of still pouting about last year's playoffs. He is still pouting about South Carolina and Alabama not getting that last playoff spot.
All because SMU and Indiana got in.
The league has not settled on a particular preferred model, and there's concern the SEC's strength of schedule is simply not being properly evaluated and considered by the committee.
Go Furman.
Sounds like you need a ninth conference game, guys.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I
mean,
I'm
why not though? Like, what's he losing in doing this? And like the pouting, the squawking, it's all negotiation. It's all trying to pull
sure,
the influence, right?
It's good for your
You don't
your
negotiate
teams.
this way, though.
Yeah. Your teams are going to look at it and say, he's standing up for us. He's doing what's right. This is what we would expect. But there's a way to do it, and there's a way to do it and not look like a little bitch. And the way he's doing it, I'm sorry, he looks like a little bitch. Well, we're going to get in 6 teams some years. Well, here's the numbers for you. The Big Ten leads at 5.3 on a 16-team playoff. The SEC gets 5.
Let's digest this real quick. Will you summarize this, Moan?
Yeah. This is, if you go back and look at since the inception of the CFP, from the 4-team all the way to this year's 12-team, you go back and look at the final top 16, this is how many teams would have made it. 5.3 Big Ten teams, 5 SEC teams, 2.4 Big 12 teams, 2.1 ACC teams, 0.36 Group of 5 teams, and Notre Dame at 0.63. If you go to a 14-team playoff, it's a little different, losing number 15 and 16, but there you can see that as well.
This is amazing. I would never have thought the Big 12 would actually be ahead of the ACC in the 16 team or the 14 team. Holy
ACC
smokes.
is just 2 teams. That's it.
But like, yeah, Big 10, like there's your drop right there. Like, what's Sankey saying? Does he know the facts?
I think Sankey just thinks if he repeats a lie long enough, it'll become true. Stankonomics 101, don't give it all away. Yes, they gave everything away. The SEC has nothing. They've got nothing, MBM. The Cowboys came in and robbed them. They've got nothing, MBM. You stole everything from them. Let me see if I know I've got a good one here. This is Greg Sankey.
I don't make the rules, ma'am. I just think them up and write them down.
Mowing this cowboy. that's
Thank you for the super chat, MBM. It is much appreciated, sir.
You haven't seen that before? You haven't seen that before, you?
I haven't seen the dancing poke before. I've heard the cowboy song. I've seen the other poke, but not that guy.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to go.
Okay, right. Daniel. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you coming in. Take it easy, Daniel.
Go Mountaineers.
Okay, thank you.
That 16-team scenario right there. Big 12 ACC. Bring in West Virginia, baby.
Hey, works for me.
I want to give it all away. See ya. We're going to bring Rock and Rant in here now. He's going to join us for a little bit. How you doing tonight, Rock?
Oh, I'm so entertained. It's fun to sometimes just troll in the comments, you know?
Don't give it all away.
It's all about, baby.
But I did want to jump on for 2 things. One, on that slide I think that you're showing right now, remember, I think it's looking past at the Big 12, so it's counting Texas and Oklahoma in things, right? I don't think it removed them from the who would have possibly qualified in the playoff era. So that's makes it a little bit more understandable. But one thing you said earlier that you might not have seen the full article on, the SEC actually, one of the things in the Dellinger further down in the article basically says there's internal battles in the SEC about not wanting to use the clearinghouse at all. So they can't even get it to
pull it up.
Yeah, it's in it's in today's Dellinger article within like the 97 breaking news things he did in one.
Well, we know Tennessee is fighting.
Right, so they have the state issues, right, which may or may not necessarily completely coincide, but the whole like, hey, like if you look at that point, it's specifically about internally to the SEC. Things are going to get heated, I think, is like the quote after that paragraph if you're trying to find it. So, in addition to swinging things at every other conference internally, they're also obviously having an issue here or there.
Yeah, that's a huge issue.
Mitch Blanton says ESPN, Texas, failing Longhorn Network, and Oklahoma came to Greg Sankey to join the SEC conference. Sankey gets the credit for this union. He did nothing. Go Noles.
So who in the SEC is supportive of the clearinghouse? We know Tennessee. Is there anybody else that we know is funded by huge booster collectives?
I don't think Tennessee's supportive of the clearinghouse. That's the issue.
They're not supportive.
Because there's state law.
Who wants third-party collective NIL booster funding still? In other words, and who wants to regulate it because they don't have it?
Well,
that's really what this is all about.
Theoretically, Sankey, right? Because he's been the mouthpiece, and then Greg Byrne or whatever his name is, the athletic director for dear old innocent Alabama, right? Who's been talking about rules and things like that as they were at the same time poaching people within minutes of being in the portal. So those would seem to be a couple of them, but after that, I don't even know, because it's not even just who has money and who doesn't have money. It's who has state laws and does or does not have money.
What a mouse.
I
can tell you this, Rock, though. I can tell you that most of the SEC, you'd be hard pressed to see them want to have the current state of affairs in college football. With the way that the boosters are funding a lot of these NIL contracts with the third-party money, and now we've got rev sharing, there is no way they want to take part in that. Your Mississippi's, your Ole Misses, no chance. Arkansas, no way. Missouri, no way. You're screwed.
The more rural you get, not in any bad way, because some of those fan bases are huge, right? But you have a lot more opportunity for your players in bigger markets to get third-party money that bring their ultimately, if you're a kid, a player, right? If you're making $10 million, you're getting from 3 sources or 2 sources, you really don't care. You just care that being at this team in this market enables you to make this money, whichever 3 revenue or 2 revenue paths you got. So it's a lot easier to have probably those third-party deals, those company deals that they said would, pass muster of the clearinghouse versus the other ones. And if you're a national athlete, Arch Manning's going to get national deals. It wouldn't matter if he was playing for, the same person who was playing for Iowa State, Boise State, or Texas, right? He just has that name power. So it could be any one of those combinations. And I don't even know, for the SEC, because if the clearinghouse starts rejecting stuff, it's just gonna revert money back to under the table deals, just in the form of my cousin's sister got some Bitcoin.
Yeah, but Rock, to think about the magnitude of the deals, though, at some point, you're money laundering if you're finding a under the napkin NIL deal for $1 million. That, we're not talking about $50 or maybe even $1,000. We're talking about $1 million that you're.
You mean the past 100 years? You mean the past 100 years of college recruiting? There wasn't a car being given to a high school player in Fast Times at Ridgemont High because it wasn't reflective of college sports, right? It was happening in different forms. It wasn't being reported. It's just a new way of not reporting it.
But think about this: the rev share is going to continue on. The rev share is at least going to be $20 million for the Power 2 schools.
Right.
So you've already established the baseline financials of insane money for a football team because they're going to get 80% of that $20 million. So you better have your collectives pony up huge amounts of cash, which again, I'm telling you, is money laundering at this level, at this new dollar level. It just won't work. So that to me isn't a really good mitigating factor for it. If it's just a concern, it's going to go underboard again.
I think it's going to go underboard again if the clearinghouse rejects as many as they said before. And forget about the other part of what happens if big market only basketball program schools, St. John's or somebody like that, UConn. I know they have football, but let's be real. Decide to spend more money on basketball, and you have schools like Alabama who have good basketball, good football, are still at that $20.5 million cap, the same as everybody else. And they actually have to spread it among 2 sports versus one sport with 10 to 12 people on their bench.
Yeah, check this out, guys. I found the answer to the question that I broached earlier. Rock, very interesting with this one, too. I'm just going to read the whole paragraph. The House Settlement-Related Enforcement Arm, i.e. the clearinghouse, is a test for major college football and basketball. Can schools follow the rules? The biggest of which is for universities to remain under the new quasi-salary cap. The cap is a way to legislate competitive equity. In many ways, it handcuffs college football's biggest brands with the richest donor bases. Here's where you pay attention. This is like here's the SEC teams that's going to fight against the clearinghouse right here. Texas, there's Ohio State, Texas A&M, Tennessee. There's 3 right there. Oregon and Miami, Miami, you got a lot to lose if the clearinghouse comes in, if you're Miami, it looks like. 6 of the top spenders in the NIL era. There we go. There's the 3, and the SEC gives it to you right there. Texas A&M, and Tennessee.
Yeah, they definitely have specific things that they need to worry about, right? But I think it's the most ironic because of the SEC, because they're the ones who have been very vocal over the last 2 or 3 months about needing rules, and now you have the SEC saying they essentially don't want the rules that they are barking about.
Right.
MBM brings up a great point. $40 to $50 million rosters without direct return is not sustainable unless you're extremely, extremely wealthy. Which there are people. I mean, look, there are some guys for college football. They're willing to do whatever it takes for their team to win and to rub elbows with them. Rock can tell you, Nevin Shapiro, cutting checks, rubbing elbows. He was doing all that stuff. So,
you know what? Everybody's got a Nevin Shapiro. We just had an idiot one.
He had one that got caught. That was it. But RT says, I think a Super League would only make sense if it doesn't have all of the P4 in it, like 40 to 50-ish tops.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I don't see a Super League ever working. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose, guys. And
well, right now,
in the Big Ten and SEC get paid very well to lose.
Yes, they do. The Washington Generals have been around for decades to make sure the Harlem Globetrotters look good. The question I have for you, Moen, is this the end of the covert marriage between Sankey and Petitti? Because somebody's throwing out these like other playoff scenarios, and the Big Ten supposedly is the most adamant about wanting the 4 qualifiers so they can do the play-in. And here you have Sankey, or at least in and around this article, talking about, well, it's still viable to maybe just do 11 at large.
There's no kumbaya anymore. I think battle lines have been drawn. The idea that everybody's going to come together and sing kumbaya is out the window. I mean, Sankey came out today and basically just spit in the face of Brett Yormark and Jim Phillips. There's really no other way to put it. I mean,
well, I'm 22 hours ago or so, I remember hearing how maybe the Big Ten and the SEC had already figured out how not to get each other's in each other's way. I'm 22 hours old, and that seems to be possibly dead.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it's craziness.
Can either of you guys think of another article that had this much in it around all of this stuff in the last 2 years?
No, like all the nuggets in this article, this length and like all the dimensions to it, I can't remember anything else like this.
Yeah, it might have been deep on like one topic, right? Like all the permutations of, oh, this is what's happening with ACC and realignment, or Florida State or something like that. But this is like it's like the Cheesecake Factory menu. There's something for everyone.
Let him cook, Moan. Let Raw cook.
Let me see here. Give him this one.
The Cheesecake
Stand
Factory.
back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Timothy Green says the SEC is mainly pissed off because of the NIL. They cannot control all the players that they used to. They don't get all of the top players anymore. It is being spread around a lot more than it ever was. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why I think he's just having a tantrum. Maybe he sees the writing on the wall.
Well, just I can't imagine where other stuff's going to come out because of the boss man unleashed like this before your meetings even started. What are the the random idiot athletic directors of every conference has one or two of them, right? The Mountain West has their San Diego State, or I mean the new Pac-12 has their San Diego State AD who doesn't know when to not talk. What else is going to come out this week?
Oh gosh, if the House settlement goes through, I think that we are looking for bombs over the next month. It's going to be nuts, guys. Like what's going to happen with clearinghouse, the wars, the legal battles, more stability as far as like certainty for Florida State, if they can make a move. And like, I just want to talk about Florida State again. Like really, did you guys like the SEC and Florida State, do you guys really think that happens? Like, let's be honest about this. Do you think that's really going to happen, the SEC and Florida State? Like, or like fine bombs, big mouth, all the suggestions and digs at Florida State, is that really telling in itself?
Oof. I mean, look, they have two schools in Mississippi. There's plenty of room for them to have Florida State in the SEC, no matter how much they want to throw them under the bus. They have two schools in Alabama, right? They definitely could do that. They have two schools in Tennessee. Florida's the third biggest state population wise. There's room to do it. Whether they're just purely thinking of, well, we're not getting the SEC network added to more areas, so it's not worth it in a world where in 4 or 5 years it's always going to be ESPN streaming different like menu bars of like the top 10 TV shows, top 10 movies like you see on Netflix. But I don't know. If I say it, everyone's going to think I'm being a hater, right? One way or the other. But so, Mohan, what do you ultimately think?
11 at large is definitely put up or shut up. Here's my problem with this. It doesn't matter what it is. Greg Sankey has shown that he's going to complain about it. Somebody from the SEC will get left out. Like I said last night, he would get a blowjob and complain she didn't cradle the nuts. This is what Greg Sankey would do. He'd find some way to complain. I mean, I've had athletic directors tell me that we've given up too much already. What have you given up? You've given up nothing, Sankey. You've had everything you've given nothing away. Our schedule is not being properly evaluated and considered by the committee. So you're going to complain. That's going to come up again.
The committee literally moved up Alabama on the strength of beating Mercer when Miami the same week Miami won a game close against an ACC member.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's a great point here. Does Sankey feel threatened?
Yes, that's exactly who made that comment.
CFB Plus. I'm trying to pull it.
CFB Plus nailed it. He feels threatened. That's exactly why you lash out like this. He does, guys. Like, why else would you bag on your Markin Phillips for capitulating to you, other than you're threatened and you're just trying to rub it in a little bit more? But like, there's some insecurities in the SEC going on right now. And also, like, let's just think about this too. Do you think that Sankey really, really wants private capital to come into the conference? Like, you're going to Goldman Sachs. Do you really want to bring that in? You lose influence. There's a lot going on in the SEC.
Well, there's a lot going on, period, right? We're doing a presidential commission. We're not doing a presidential commission. We're doing a presidential commission. We're not doing a presidential commission. So what does that mean about what's going on with the legislation, right? Like if this was a whole orchestrated thing, did they orchestrate the messiness that's surrounding all aspects of it right now? Did they orchestrate like, hey, let's have the judge tell us one very specific thing she wants us to do to get the settlement done. Let's come back with a voluntary solution to that and like hope and pray that works. So, my question comes down to like is he threatened? Well, what does he have to be threatened by? They still have the majority vote with the Big Ten, right, for the playoff. So are they feeling political pressure? Is the complaining from everybody else, despite having the majority vote, making that majority vote dangerous for them to just do whatever they feel like they wanted to do? Like, has something materially changed? Or is this just, again, like a whole bunch of optics to give us all an off-season drama for some unannounced Bill Belichick produced TV show for Netflix.
It could be that way.
I mean, it's a hell of a news dump to do on a Memorial Day.
Gee.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know. What a week. What a week it was in college football. I would not be shocked if by the time I wake up in the morning, Greg Sankey has come out and made 14 or 15 more declarative statements that, he kidnapped the Lindbergh baby. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Just like at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Greg Sankey just like came out on stage and just like peed on a lady in the crowd.
My goodness.
Yeah, that's just the kind of guy Greg Sankey is. But
well, where's Petiti? The guy's silent, man. He's like, he's the weirdest guy in the world. This guy doesn't say anything, man. Does he even exist?
He's Silent Bob.
He's Silent Bob, man. What a leader.
I don't know. He doesn't fall into the Kevin Warren trap. Kevin Warren couldn't shut up. This guy doesn't talk. So they've got that figured out. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We're going to get off here with 111 people watching us. Make sure if you're watching us for the first time, you give us a like, give us a subscribe, you leave us a comment. You appreciate my joke about cradling the nuts. Make sure you do all that. I want to thank Wowed You and Rockin' Rant for joining me tonight, as well as Daniel Gygax. You can follow us all on Twitter. I think Nate is going to do a show tomorrow, so stay tuned to Nate's Twitter account at Big 12 Mafia or our Twitter account at the CFB Mafia, and check it out. Until then, everybody have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend, because I'm sure as soon as I hit end stream, we're going to find out Greg Sankey sacrificed a goat. Peace out.